Remember how every other country's fallen. Corrupt government gets in, they use the military and police against the people. Most nations are under this. And where you have this system in place, you have poverty and enslavement. They put this in place because the government's getting ready to rob everybody with taxes and regulations. I mean, we know what this is in history. This is bad. And they give these false narratives and these compartmentalized programs to the police and military, and then they graduate them through these different schools, psychologically profiling them until they have different cadres, including killers with badges, who think it's macho and tough and that the American people are their enemy and they're these real warriors when they pull your wife and kids over. This is the conversion of our police and military into servants of evil. It's happening. You can't deny it. Daryl in Texas, you're on the air.
Alex, hi. I just wanted to comment and say that I work at a hospital, a very large hospital in Central Texas, and what we are seeing, I am a pharmacist, and what we are seeing is difficulty in the supply chain in getting certain sizes of vials and ampules of certain medication. Now, I've talked to some of the older pharmacists that were around in the Gulf War, and they said they saw the same thing leading up to the Gulf War. These medications are listed as follows. They are dextrose injections. They are calcium injections. They are epinephrine injections. They are certain sizes of morphine and fentanyl vials. They are bicarbonate. And so these are drugs that are used in what's called the crash carts or the cardiac arrest situations, the trauma situations. And there are only certain vial sizes, the smaller dose vial sizes, that would typically be used in combat. We have a very large hospital that has a far reach as far as getting supplies. Another medication is propofol. That is a medication used to sedate people. It's a very favorite medication in the hospital to sedate people.
Sure, and they sedate somebody who's had their arms and legs blown off or their face blown off. They have drugs to minimize the effects of a chemical weapon attack. And the reports are ammunition, drugs, it's all drying up. I've even seen this in the mainstream news ahead of the Iran attack, which will probably lead to World War III. Then we'll all be patriotic and roll over to the bankers and let the Stasi secret police grid take over. 854,000 private spies now running America. This is a criminal takeover.
Yes, sir. But I just wanted to report that we are seeing difficulties. I mean, all indications look like we are definitely on the precipice. We're going to go to war. So I appreciate all the work you do, and I'll just bow out at that point. I just wanted to report that we're seeing that difficulty in supply chain.
All right, thank you, Daryl. We're going to finish up with George and nothing but military and police after that. We've got Scott, Chris, and others holding. Let's talk to George in Connecticut. You're on the air.
Alex, I'm just wondering, why don't we take this right to their own homes? They seem to have these huge meetings with all the security. I know where Lieberman lives. I live a stone's throw away. I know where former President Clinton lives. I saw him walking his dog. If we put up signs around them, this will unnerve them because they...
I agree. It's all psychological warfare against them. We have the truth. They have the lie. Putting up signs where they live that we know you're a traitor, Clinton, protesting them. The power of all of my listeners making simple political messages with websites and putting them on telephone poles is incredible. It's everybody doing a little bit. We've got to identify them as illegitimate and criminal so that all their support dissipates and so we can take the nation back. This is red level emergency, and I agree with you, George.
One other quick thing. I've heard something on several places that this guy was talking about that the state of California is now a corporate state. They put it all under corporate, and certain states have been fighting against legal actions because they put individuals as a corporation, all in cap letters. If this is true, if this is a legal mechanism, basically they made themselves an illegal organization, like a government organization. They're no longer a government organization. They're a corporatocracy already. And if there's a legal mind out there that can figure this out, we might be able to unseat them and start our own parallel government that is the legitimate government rather than a corporate government that's basically trying to subvert our rights.
All right, God bless you. I appreciate your call. We're going to go to break and go directly to Scott, Chris, Greg's DOD contractor. We're going to talk to everybody. And we had a trainer in Texas who trains the MJTF threat fusion centers, and he said, everything you're saying is true, Alex. It's total martial law preparation. They're teaching them they're hardcore warriors, and their enemy is us. And that's for the inner cadres. The outer cadres, who they think are good men and women, aren't brought into that. We're going to be discussing it all after this break, but I wanted to go to Chuck Baldwin's Top Secret America, the rest of the story. And it gets into 854,000 private secret police with the highest security levels. You've got the clergy response teams, preachers being paid secretly to brainwash their flocks. I mean, that's right out of a science fiction movie, folks. That's so hardcore. It's illegal to have the CIA running all these threat fusion centers. This is all illegal. What is it you don't understand about that? Illegal, 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 illegal. Illegal to have Marines in Alabama at checkpoints, in California. Illegal to have them in Tennessee with the Army and Marines and Homeland Security. But when the governor said don't do it, they said, go fly a kite. This is a criminal takeover, just like Hitler used the military to take over Germany. Don't say you weren't warned later. And cops, I'm telling you, you better get up off your hind ends like the general public needs you to do this as well, and research what we're saying and look into it. But continuing, the Post series has enough tantalizing information to sell a lot of papers, but almost nothing that exposes the illicit side of U.S. operations, a large portion of which is involved in recruiting, training, and running covert agents. Only a small portion of which are spying on real enemies. A lot of spying targets are allies of patriotic Americans. Well, that's come out, like myself. The Army watches me. That's been declassified. Who the government worries could someday provide a source of rebellion against the growing totalitarian state. Skousen further charges that there is a dark side to each agency of federal law enforcement. The dark side involves a lot of compartmentalization, front activities, hidden budgets, and false stories in order to keep honest government employees and agents from knowing what's really going on behind their backs. The feds told cops, we're going to blow up Building 7 and get everybody back, and they blew it up in front of everybody. I mean, we have the news footage of them saying this. Do you understand none of us are safe? If they'll go kill 1 million Iraqis, if they'll do all these other evil things, the people that run our government, you think you're safe? You think they won't do the same thing to you? They hate you. They hate Americans. They hate the free market. They hate your private property. They all want to dominate you. That's their spirit. That's who they are. What few do get a glimpse of in the government dark side are warned off with threats, some subtle and some lethal threats, which send a chilling message out to others not to ask too many questions. Skousen, then, I'm going to get him on, then quotes a Post report saying that 9/11, the NSA has grown to where it constitutes 1.7 billion pieces of intercepted communications every 24 hours, emails. That's nothing. The phone companies are the NSA, as I told you 12 years ago. No, 14 years ago. It just goes on and on. But that's a good report we've got up at Infowars.com, PrisonPlanet.com. Top Secret America, the rest of the story. We're going to take your call straight ahead. And then, the year America dissolved, Paul Craig Roberts, Infowars.com exclusive. The year America dissolved. Stay with us. The Fall of America and the Western World is an all-new 10-hour documentary and survival guide rolled into one. In this film, you will see the reasons why our government is failing and what you can do to prepare. Featuring Dr. Paul Craig Roberts, Joseph Farah, David Icke, Naomi Wolf, G. Edward Griffin, Doug McIntyre, Mark Crispin Miller, Mickey Z, Doug Casey, David McElhaney, and myself, Alex Jones. Protect yourself and get the tools you need to protect your family from these difficult times. The Fall of America and the Western World at www.thefallofamerica.net or click on the banners at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. Again, that website's www.thefallofamerica.net or call 800-655-1577. Prepare yourself and the ones you love today. Fallofamerica.net.
Global meltdowns, massive unemployment, endless wars, a new currency crisis, financially and morally bankrupt. A great and terrible storm is approaching. So what's the best way to get ready? To get prepared for hard times ahead? Introducing Off the Grid News, a weekly newsletter for independent patriots who want practical advice on how to survive and prosper in an increasingly dangerous world. It's the best way to get a black belt in emergency preparedness, survival skills, and off-the-grid living. Off the Grid News is fiercely independent, all about self-reliance, and packed with helpful information on survival gardening, food preparation, alternative energy, herbal medicines, privacy and security, as well as God, gold, and guns, with absolutely no apologies. And the best part? This $100 a year service is now free of charge for our listeners. That's right, free for our listeners who sign up at offthegridnews.com. That's offthegridnews.com. You can sign up for free at offthegridnews.com. Offthegridnews.com.
Hi, this is Peter Cronschnabel from Midas Resources. It is becoming painfully obvious the Washington bailout is running out of steam and the economy is showing signs of a double-dip recession. As you know, government spending is at an all-time high and inflation will be a direct result of the spending policy. What are you doing right now to protect yourself financially? Are majority of your assets tied up in the stock or bond market? If so, are those assets working for you or against you? One thing is certain, having physical possession of gold and silver will guarantee that no matter what happens to our economy or the dollar, your investment will never be worthless, and it will protect you from that hidden tax, inflation. If you've been thinking about investing in physical possession of precious metals, I can help. Call me today, Peter Cronschnabel at 800-686-2237, extension 108, and I'll take the time to personally put together a portfolio designed to